So when it comes to lead generation, there's basically two phases involved. There's the attraction phase where you put out a paid ad on Facebook or you use content on your website to attract inbound leads. But after that happens, you need a way to then store their information, follow up with them. A lot of times you'll get semi interest from the lead, but they won't want to buy from you today. And for that, you have to have a good backend system so that you can subsequently reach out to them. You need to continue to follow up and reach out to your leads on a regular basis. This will ensure that they have a much better chance of closing that way, much better chance of becoming your customers, and it's just really the way that you avoid leaving money on the table because so many times like we'll run cold email campaigns and we'll get people saying, oh, you know what, we actually might be interested in this service in 4 weeks from now or in 4 months from now even. So reach out to us then. And you just have to put a reminder out there. Basically, don't forget to do that because that's really a way that you can get a lot of clients over a long period of time. You're not giving up on them just because of that initial rejection, which is really key. I think a lot of people get deterred when they get that initial, oh, we can't do it right now, but maybe in a few months they think, oh, I'll just forget about this lead. They're not interested. That's not always the case. And so to do that, you have to be able to store them in a CRM. And CRM is just customer relationship management. These are basically tools that allow you to store customer information, but they do a lot of fun things in addition to storing. They allow you to set up pipelines. You can put customers in sort of a chain of stages, right, based on where they're at as a lead. So if you just reached out to them and they want to book an appointment, you could put them under the appointment column. If they've closed for something else, you can put them under a different column. Or if you need to follow up with them, and that's kind of what I was talking about before, is the follow-up process is so important, then you have a separate column for that. And you can have multiple columns for first follow-up, second follow-up, third follow-up, in case you call them a few times and they don't pick up, just so that you're remembering to do that, because honestly, that's how you're going to get many more customers. You're going to avoid leaving lots of money on the table by not following up. So how do we store this information, right? So the CRMs, there's a lot of CRMs out there. I would say probably when you're first starting out, if you have a very, very small customer base or you're trying to get leads, but you're not looking for a ton of leads, you're just kind of a one-man show, you can use Google Sheets. I will say that Google Sheets does become a little bit burdensome just from the standpoint of it's much harder for the follow-ups, I'll say. So like I was saying before, the follow-ups are super important. In Sheets, it's a little bit harder to, you don't really have the notifications and the reminder capabilities that you'd have in a paid CRM tool. So here's some of the top paid tools that might be better alternatives to Google Sheets. Starting at kind of a couple of the lower end tools. And when I say lower end, I don't mean bad, but they're just less expensive. They're good for more or less starting out or smaller lead gen operations. But they could also be scaled up as well to more enterprise work. So Pipedrive is one of the top ones. And this is what I was talking about as far as moving prospects through the different stages of your funnel. So like if you get a qualified lead, you put them under the qualified lead column, and then contact made. So that's when you have your appointment setter go out and reach out to that prospect and try to close them for a quote or some other sort of initiative like that. And then, schedule them for a demo. So like if you're a SaaS company, booking them into a demo is super important. That's going to be sort of that initial stage of possibly turning them into a hot lead and then further down the funnel like that. But the thing I like about these tools is that you can, like I said, you can set those notifications. So if you try them a couple times, they don't pick up, you can set a notification for 1 week from now to reach out to them, or however long. You can set those intervals pretty easily in here. But Pipedrive is a good tool. It's not crazy expensive, and it's really good for people starting out, but it can be good also for many other larger businesses as well. And it also integrates with all these tools, like most of the tools we're going to talk about here. So that's super useful. The next one here is high level, go high level. I'm not sure. I think it's high level. People call it go high level as well, but high levels, it's very similar to Pipedrive when it comes to the CRM component. Now, the one thing about high level is it's a little more bang for your buck overall. It is more expensive. It is more expensive than Pipedrive, but you get a ton of additional kind of tools and services within that. So there's the CRM component, which is kind of what we're focusing on today. And I would say their CRM is probably their best feature at this point. They have a lot of other features like website builders, form builders, that sort of thing. Honestly, I'm not a huge fan of those features. I think maybe they'll become better over time. I just think that right now they're a little bit lacking. But their CRM is fantastic. It does everything you need it to do. You can build in automations into your CRM. You can set up SMS outreach through your CRM. At one point, we had it integrated with our cold email tool, Smart Lead. Whenever we'd get an interested lead through our cold email campaign, it would directly go into our high level and add them as a contact automatically without us having to do that ourselves. So saves a lot of time. High level has a lot of other cool features as well. You can see here, like here's a screenshot example of what an SMS could look like here, and you can set up the automations for this. So it's a really nice tool. It's more expensive, obviously. I think it starts at $97 or $99 a month, but you get a lot for it. So yeah, it's an interesting tool. It could be useful for a lot of different types of businesses. And then kind of the next level up in the game would be like a Salesforce. Salesforce is, I want to say it's more for enterprise level companies or just larger companies in general, maybe not all the way up to enterprise, just bigger than a small business essentially. But you get a lot for it. You get a lot of the services we showed you in Pipedrive, but just with a little more comprehension, a little more coverage, and it's used in a lot of enterprise industries. So obviously, it's a good option once you start really growing your business and getting it to that more enterprise stage. Same thing with this one, which is HubSpot. HubSpot is probably the most famous CRM. It's been around for a very long time. This one I've actually seen used at really all levels, from small businesses up to enterprise level businesses, and it's a great tool. Really easy to set up a sort of a lead pipeline and an automations pipeline. I like their interface a lot, um, especially for those automations. So, like, let's say that you bring in leads through an ad campaign, then you can set up the automations very easily to then send out an email to that prospect and then notify one of your reps to then call them a day later or something. It's really nice for that. So for people who have a SaaS company, or you have something that involves people doing demos and that kind of thing, this could be a really useful tool for that. It gives you a lot of options to work with. It's going to be on the pricier side for sure. Much pricier than most of those other tools that I showed you before. But yeah, for individuals and small teams, there are some maybe more affordable options, but I would say this would be a tool that once you really get into the big leagues, you might want to look at. The other tools we talked about, I think for starting out, High Level is a really good one, or Pipedrive. I think those are probably the two best CRMs in my opinion to start out with. Really can't go wrong either way. Think I like High Level maybe a tad more just because it has those extra features. But if you're honestly not that into the other features, then Pipedrive is going to be a better deal for you. And I want to say their pricing is really reasonable as well. You can see here, $14 starting. So, like I said, High Level is 99 or 97 starting, somewhere in there. But you get a lot more features with that. But you just have to figure out what you're looking for. Just wanted to quickly go over some of those because, people maybe you've heard of the term CRM and you're not exactly sure, what all that means and that kind of thing, or what that looks like. So I just wanted to show you some of the top tools that are used for that. Again, when you're starting out, Google Sheets is completely fine. That's sufficient for most businesses. The steps would be Google Sheets, then maybe Google Sheets with a VA, like a help from a virtual assistant, someone who can go in and start updating those sheets regularly. Because the problem with the sheets is that it's very manual. So you need someone in there constantly updating things and moving people along. That's why it's good to then quickly move out of that range and start looking at a service like a Pipedrive or High Level. This is our second video. The other day we talked about some of the basic lead gen strategies. This is kind of that next step in the lead gen process. Is once you have the lead captured, then how do you capture them? How do you continue the communications from that point? So a CRM is really the end all be all of that. Thanks for watching. That is about it. We will see you again really soon.